Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to go over the 3 basic types of chords that are used in almost every style of music. And this lesson comes from Guitar Chord Master Basic Chords. It goes over all your basic chords and strumming patterns so that you have a solid foundation to become a rhythm guitar player, or just strum along to your favorite songs. Alright, you can get that at themissingmethod.com or most online retailers. Now let's get into the lesson. So we're going to talk about the 3 basic chords, so not the ones that we're going to physically be playing, but rather the types. So some of these you may have heard of before, but the most basic are called triads because they're made up of just 3 notes. And the triads that we use the most on the guitar are major chords and minor chords. And there's a difference in sound. Here's a couple examples of major. You got some nice clear sound. Here's another one, an A major or a C major. Now, a lot of times you'll just hear major chords referred to by their letter name. Play a C chord, play a G chord. That's implying major. Now, when you have minor, it's got a little M next to it, and that, of course, means that it's a lower sounding chord. So it's not lesser than, it's just lower sounding. So here's an A minor as an example. Here's an E minor. And let's go with a B minor. And you can hear it's a very different sound than major. The interesting thing is there's only 1 note difference between those two, but it changes the characteristic sound. Now there are 2 other triads that we're going to talk about briefly at the end of this, but let's go on to our 3rd most important chord that you'll find in all of music, and that is the dominant 7th chord. Now a dominant 7th chord is not a triad, it's a 4-note chord. It takes the major triad and adds a note to it to make it sound a little bit more unstable. And that note is 7 notes away from the name of the chord. So if you have a C chord, for example, you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So in a C chord, you're going to take that, make it a B flat, then you have that C7. So you can hear you have a basic C chord, just a triad, and then we add that B flat note, really making it a little bit more unstable sounding. And usually those dominant 7th chords will want to resolve somewhere or go somewhere. You don't want to just stay around on that chord too long. And so with C7 you would go to F, which I know is not the easiest chord for beginners to get, but this is just an example. One that is easy is we could get a G7 chord with 1 finger, and then we can go to a C chord. Or you could go to a G7 chord again, and then play an A minor chord. And there's a lot of different combinations like that that'll work. So you have major, minor, and dominant 7th. Now as far as triads go, there's 2 others that do pop up on occasion. You don't see them a lot written for guitar music specifically, but they show up in jazz all the time. They show up in classical music all the time. The Beatles use these chords. And so the first one is called an augmented chord. And you usually see that with a plus sign after it. Augmented just means it's basically major, but with 1 note altered to make it sound even more open. So here's regular major, and here's an augmented chord. So you can hear there's quite a difference there. Just 1 note different. Here's the major again. And here's the augmented. And the last one we're going to take a look at today is the last triad on the list. And that, of course, is the diminished chord. So a diminished chord, think of it sort of like minor, but then even more minor. So this is what it'll sound like. So it's a very dissonant sounding chord. And that is your diminished chord. All right, so those are the 3 basic sounds: major, minor, dominant 7th, and then 2 others, the augmented and diminished, and those will get you started strumming a whole lot of music. And of course, if you want practice with all of this, be sure to check out Guitar Chord Master 1 Basic Chords. Talked about it at the beginning of this video. You can get that at themissingmethod.com. and most online retailers. So I will see you for the next guitar lesson.